Hello, happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome back to Stronger by Community. This is season 4, episode 9, and today we are going to have a very, very special guest. And I'll tell you why in a second. But first, I just want to talk about what our topic is today and why I'm so excited about it. And then I'm going to tell you about our special guest, and then we are going to bring her on. So today, before I even tell you the topic, you guys all know I am obsessed with talking about this 1% Better Everyday method. It is how I have gone from being afraid of my goals to, making all of my goals happen easily, simply, quickly, right? And so a big piece of why I've been able to use the 1% Better Everyday method, not just for myself, but with my students, is because I have learned that life doesn't happen to me. The world doesn't happen to me, right? I get to be in control of my outcomes and what I want. And the way that I get to be in control of making everything that I want happen is because I have learned to take ownership of my life. I've learned to take ownership of what I'm doing. And I've learned to take ownership and decide that what I want is in my power. All right, so clearly I'm obsessed with this topic, but I don't want to be a broken record. I want to bring on somebody who lives and breathes in this mindset and really truly is the embodiment of this mindset. So I'm really excited to bring on one of my clients. Her name is Marta, and she is an essential oils salesperson. I feel like I hate that word, but she's an essential oils guru. I also hate that word. All right, I'm gonna stop. But she's an amazing person, and she knows all about essential oils, sustainable living, all of that. And she is really the epitome of somebody who has taken her own life into her own hands and has stopped just waiting for the world to happen for her. She has really embodied this idea that you get to make your life happen for you. So let's bring Marta on. Hold on one sec. Hello, Tasha. Say hi. Be sure to say hello in the comments. Hey, Marta.
Hi, sorry, I didn't realize my camera was turned around. You're seeing my feet.
Story
Hi,
of my life.
so funny.
How are
Oh,
you?
I am doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy that we were able to make this work today.
Yeah,
Um, And I was just kind of giving a little bit of an introduction on today's topic and introducing you. But why don't you give all of us a little bit of an introduction about who you are, what you're all about, and what you're doing on this online space before we dive into our topic today. Hey, Jen.
for sure. Yes, hi Jen. Yes, for sure. Thank you for bringing me on and having me on your live episodes. So I am just a working mom. I started in, I guess, my journey 10 years ago when I first became a mom. So
Mhm.
now what I do is I teach other moms and women to empower themselves with the knowledge of using essential oils and more natural remedies. And actually cleaning your home free of toxins for the better health of yourself. And of course, just to promote that sustainable living because we are one with nature. So
Mhm.
that's what my passion is. That's what I've been learning about for the past 10 years. And I'm going to say about 3.5 years ago, I started on the journey to say, to get inspired to bring it up and share it with people and teach other people how to do it and how to
I
work
love
with
that.
oils. And yeah.
I love that. And I'd love to ask, I know we've had this conversation, but for everyone else's benefit, what got you started on this journey? Like, why, you went most of your life obviously not really being into that side of yourself. So what brought you and what inspired you to get into essential oils and becoming one with nature and just living a more natural lifestyle?
So, yeah, I spent like when my son was born, myself and my son, we were constantly getting sick. At the time that that was happening to us as well, the use of antibiotics was like on its peak, I guess, right? So that's when antibiotics were being like prescribed for everything, every little sneeze, anything, like just take antibiotics, right? So for the first 2 years, during the winter months, both my son and myself would constantly be sick, constantly on antibiotics, constantly running to the ER or running to the doctors. It was just a nightmare, and because of that too, I had to like miss a lot of work, and so it got to a point where it was very stressful because pretty much my boss said, like, you got to figure something out. We can't not have you here every couple of weeks, missing for days, like all these things.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, there's got to be something else I can do. There's got to be like, like something that can help me manage all of this. Like we can't be sick all the time, right?
Right.
So I started talking to a friend, and she actually introduced me to essential oils. So I started learning about them, and then just diving into the essential oils just opened up such a huge door for me because then I understood what were the things that I was already doing that was affecting like our health, like our indoor health, like why we were getting so many respiratory issues, migraines, all these different things. And
Mhm.
then from there, I just kind of became passionate. I started learning more and using the oils more. Um, so I spent hours and hours and hours like researching and learning and going to classes and doing all these things. And yeah, so that's why I'm a big advocate of them, right? And big advocate of nature. Yeah, and understand that we are, everything that we do,
Mhm.
it has an impact on our environment and it comes right back to us, right?
Right. I love
So
that.
yeah, yeah, just open up my conscious.
Wow. Okay, so
Mhm.
my question for you is, so looking back at that time when you were missing work and you were constantly having to take off for being sick and just not feeling well, versus now after 10 years of really just kind of taking your power back, how do you feel now? Do you get sick as often?
No, and just to like a big thing of this too is my daughter. So by the time my son was 2, he probably had taken antibiotics, I'm gonna say at minimum 20 to 30 times, right?
Oh, okay.
My daughter is going on 5 this December. She
Hmm.
has yet to take her first dose of antibiotics.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, that's I love I love numbers, so that is that is an incredible improvement. And what about you? I mean, how did your family feel? How is your life better by just leaning into nature and leaning into, just what the earth has to give to you?
There is so much, such a big list, but I guess the main thing is just having that feeling empowered, and when things do come up, that I have the tools and the knowledge and the skills to support my family, right?
Right.
So I'd like, we're not constantly running to the ER. Like I can't get so much done at home and support them and pretty much bring them to health, like with having this knowledge of using essential oils or using natural remedies. Um, that for one side, we don't get sick as often.
Hmm.
Um, Most of the time, like if we do get sick, it's very mild. Though last week we all ended up sick here. Thankfully, I was kind of like the last one standing, so I was able to like stay strong and like kind of look after everybody. Um, but it was a pretty rough, like whatever virus we got, that one was a pretty rough one. But we're all doing good, and we didn't have to like run to this, you know, over the counter medication that most of the time doesn't do anything for you other than like make you drowsy to help you rest, right?
Wow.
Um, and usually has a lot of side effects, and is something that your body has a really, really hard time processing, and stays in your body for quite a while, right? Um, yeah, so yeah.
That's amazing. And I know that you use a lot of like oils and just natural solutions for things like cleaning your house, and I
Mm,
know that you're very self-sufficient in terms of what you eat, right? So
right.
I'm very curious, like how has taking ownership of, your health and your nutrition and just how your family lives, how has that how has that made you feel like as a mom? Like I'm sure you feel like so much more powerful that you're no longer relying on corporations and the government and the outside entities to survive. Like how does that feel?
Yes, again, like it's a feeling of empowerment, right? When I started this journey like 10 years ago, when my son was small, never in a million years would I imagine that I would get to the way we're living now, right?
Right.
So every year that has come by, we have like kind of well, we have improved, right? And sort of added more to our this sustainable lifestyle and
Mhm.
more holistic resource. And again, like we can do so much at home without having to depend on like this over the counter medications, or having to wait in the ER for like hours no end, because unfortunately our medical systems, I'm not sure how it's in the States, but here I know we're struggling with that. Like the
Right.
system is clogged up. Like, so I think I feel that that is something too that I can't sort of donate, would you say, or like give,
Mhm.
because like, the more we can solve at home, the more we're staying out of hospitals, and sort of clogging up, the system, right? And like,
Right.
um, yeah. So yeah, like over the past 10 years, that first step of like learning into natural medicine has
Mhm.
kind of guided us to the next step. So like right now, I'm sure like right, we have our own chickens. Today we were actually calling some roosters. Um, to have some meat birds, right? Like huge, like we started with the garden. So this year, like our crop was like the biggest that we have ever had. So our freezer is completely full with, frozen vegetables, frozen fruits. We have our meat. So it just, I guess every little bit that we could keep adding, it's making us less and less dependent on, you know, the corporations, and the dependent on like on the stocks, and on the the system, I guess, for
Right.
we'll say that.
That's incredible. And it's almost like you created like your own little mini ecosystem like that, like God forbid, it's a zombie apocalypse, like you're gonna be the last one standing.
Yeah, we'll
And
have a
that's
pretty good chat.
incredible.
Yeah. Yes,
You've made yourself apocalypse proof.
hopefully.
That's incredible. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about, you know, how can other people do this? How can other people try this at home, essentially? Um, what, because we've talked a little bit about the why, you get free of the system, but what can people actually do to start to take ownership of their own fate and their own situation?
um I would say like just taking like one step at a time, right? Like um for me, obviously it was like, how could we get, how can I support myself without having to depend on antibiotics, and getting us better, right? But for a lot of people, and a lot of people that I help with, it's just even starting with getting rid of toxins in your home. Like they're really not needed. You really, really are just throwing your money away,
Right.
and hurting yourself. Like you're like, unconsciously hurting yourself, hurting your body, the body of your, like, whoever is in your household, even your pets. So just taking like small steps to, start, like, say, hey, well, maybe I'm going to learn today how I can make my own cleaners, like my all-purpose cleaners, which is like super easy, and it takes like literally no effort. It takes more effort to drive to the store and get a cleaner, right?
Right.
Like, and just like, what kind of tools I can, that call out to me, that, just doing that research. Um, that's what I would tell most people, right? Then maybe you can go, like, after you try out your cleaners and you say, hey, like, and that will also motivate you to be like, okay, what can I do next, right?
Right. You build
So
on.
then, yeah, you start building on it. It's like, okay, maybe I don't want to use like all this chemical stuff on my skin. How can I make my own natural skincare routine?
Right.
And just kind of go by steps.
Right. And I love that idea too. I think you were talking about it earlier about how when you do things like this, you're helping the environment, and because you're number one, you're not driving to the store to go get more toxic cleaners, but number two, you're not adding more toxins to the environment, right? And then I love that you touched on the idea that when you create a healthy environment and when you give to the environment around you, the environment gives back to you. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's too, about taking ownership of your life, and all of us collectively taking ownership of, taking care of our Mother Earth, which is in essence our home, is what provides lives to us, right? And we kind of know that, we haven't been the best, I guess, guest of Mother Earth, right, over the years. And so now there, like, we hear all these issues, all these natural disasters and things like that. And we can't just wait for, like, say, governments to start, solving our lives. We got to, like, take some ownership ourselves, right, and take some, steps ourselves. So yeah, by, like, everything, when you, like, say, using toxins or chemicals, it's going right to the waters, and it essentially, like, like, it's a huge ecosystem. It's everything is just so connected that is coming back to us. So then we're seeing now, um, like, from that, like, when our environment is polluted or toxic, then we see it reflect on us on, like, sickness, right? Like diseases, right? So we're seeing, like, more, I guess, critical illness going, like cancer or other illnesses, related to that. So just having, like, conscious that we are connected to Mother Earth. We're part of this ecosystem, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Mhm.
Right, because if you are playing a part in, let's say, polluting your water in the local area, like let's say every day you wash your hair with a very toxic soap, or every day you clean your apartment with a very toxic cleaning supply, then you are essentially adding pollution to the local water, right? And then when you are drinking that water, you're then making yourself sick, right? And then now you need more, toxic soap to keep yourself clean. You need more toxic chemicals to keep your home clean. And the cycle just continues. So the way that I'm hearing you right now, and this is literally blowing my freaking mind, so hopefully I'm making sense. Um, the way that I'm hearing you right now is if you take those toxic chemicals out and you commit to using natural remedies in your hair and cleaning your body and cleaning your home, then you're doing your small part in removing the toxicity from the water, right? And then there's less of a need to bring those same chemicals back into your home because you're staying more healthy.
And, just think about it, like, if every household starts to do that, what would be the collective impact for all of us, right?
Oh.
So, you may think that you're not doing that much, but really, if every household took a step to even eliminate, I'm going to even say like 5 toxins out of their homes, right? Like 5 toxic products out of their home, how much on a collective impact can that have, right? Not just for yourself, but, for everything, right? Um, yeah.
That is some powerful stuff right there. Wow.
hmm Yeah.
Um,
So,
and you have to like I think what we all have to understand too is like there's the reason that there's not a lot of this knowledge out there, the reason that we're not being taught so much of this in schools and just by the media in general is because you have to think about who profits from continuing to push most people to utilize these toxins, the big companies, right? So we're we are taught to want to be reliant on big companies and on the government and on these corporations, but when we rely on ourselves, these big companies don't necessarily make money, right?
yeah.
So that's kind of why we are not taught this. So I want to kind of move into taking ownership. Like you need to take ownership of how you educate yourself and what steps you're taking to nurture the environment, nurture yourself. So I'd love for you to touch a little bit on that. This idea of taking ownership of your education and how you understand how this all works.
Right. Um, so with, okay, sorry, I'm kind of having a few ideas come all at once. So organizing my brain. Um, yeah, for so many years, we sort of been on this unconscious wagon where, they just sell this stuff to us as being safe, cheap, and effective, right?
Right.
And so we had this I'm just going to buy this $3 bottle. It's $3. We don't care about $3. We don't have a value to it. But in reality, you're doing so much more damage, right?
Right.
So, damage to yourself, damage to the environment, and for most people actually, and this may be something that may open your eyes as well, but most people actually spend most of their money in those smaller purchases than they do in bigger purchases. So if you calculate throughout the year, all
Mm-hmm.
the $3, $5 items that you're constantly spending money on is going to add up to way more than any other bigger purchases you did throughout the year, right?
Right.
um for me, with one of my, I guess, when I started, I just so happened to be guided to this amazing company, which is doTERRA, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they have so much for you to learn. They have a ton of studies, researches. There's a full library that you can go in there and educate yourself, right? So yeah, just start doing your research. I know there's so much information out there, but just maybe come to the people that have spent so much time learning about this and get some of those resources and start researching it yourself. Um right now, one thing that we have going for us is that there is just we have so much access to information that we didn't do, even a decade ago or maybe 2 decades ago, right? Um, yeah.
That's awesome. It's so cool. And like the more that I talk to people like you and some of our other friends, I know Jen is in this chat and our friend Steph, and
hmm
uh, this information, it's so available. It's so available. All you have to do is say to yourself, like, what would happen if I just sat down for an hour, 2 hours, a couple hours for the next month and learned about how I can just put my own instant gratification aside and think about the collective good? Because when you take ownership of how you can benefit not just yourself but society as a whole, like so many opportunities open up for you. Um,
Yes.
Just to like give another really cool example, Marta, I don't know if I told you about this, but I have been on this like 28-day food cleanse. I started a couple days ago, and essentially with this cleanse, I am only eating vegetables and like meat and fruit. And I remember going into this cleanse a couple days ago before I hired my coach, thinking I can't just live off of that. But like not only can I've lost a couple pounds in 4 days. Um, I've
How
saved
do
a
you feel?
ton. I've saved so much money. I'm living off the fat of the land. Um, I've saved
Hmm.
a ton of money and I lost a ton of weight from cutting out all the toxic food that I was putting in my body. Um, and I guess my point of it is when you're not thinking about instant gratification, like, of course I would like to eat sugar. I love sugar. Of course I would like to eat bread and preservatives and stuff. But I am so freaking energized just naturally because again, I'm not thinking about, just what do I want. I'm thinking about what is good for this planet and what is good for myself and my energy. And when you when you remove that whole instant gratification thing from your life and you start to think about what is good for like the greater whole,
Greater good.
you're
Yeah.
giving back to yourself, right?
Hmm.
And
And
feel like I'm just giving back to the environment because I'm not playing into that role of eating all these foods that aren't good for me. Um, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, and that's just it. Like even taking these steps, like 10 years ago have been such a journey because again, just knowing how to like, how to be more conscious on the things that, we're even spending money on, we're bringing into our home, we're putting into our bodies. All of that has helped us like get better financially, has
Right.
actually helped us um, as well with like we've gone through some financial hits, I guess you would say, that if I kept my old lifestyle, I probably would have struggled. So during those two financial hits that we went through in the past few years, we actually moved through quite ease because all this knowledge was just so useful for that as well, right? Like, so
Absolutely.
even though I went at first with the intention that I just want a solution for myself, because I need to keep my job. It's important as, it's my career as well and whatnot, to this huge thing where now, like we can manage other like I guess other things better, like right, we're better equipped, where we have built a solid foundation for us as well financially. So just to give you like just to let you know a bit more of on the story, but I won't tell the whole story. But my first home was a mobile home, so we leased the land like a trailer park,
Mhm.
and I got pregnant, and then a month later they told us we had 6 months to get out, right? Because they were closing the trailer park. We had booked a trip to Europe because I had family in Europe, and then so I still did the trip. We still, went on our Europe trip. And like, while the whole, most of our neighbors all around were like sort of destroying their mobile homes because it's very hard to move a mobile home, right? And then around the area, there isn't many places that allow them anymore.
Right.
They were just destroying the homes and whatever. We were still able to find a house, and then we were lucky enough to actually find someone that could take our trailer and still use it, right? Like they had a piece of land that they can move it into. So we were one of the only few ones that managed to leave that situation okay, right? And then just before the pandemic happened too, my husband actually got laid off, and it was perfect because he could stay home. And then instead of just like, kind of falling victim and sort of like blaming the pandemic and everything else, we just worked. We like worked on like let's just take hands on what things can we do. And then the transition was actually quite easy. And now he's on his third year of not working because he's more, he has become our farmer. So that's why we have so much food and stuff now, right? But,
I love that. And I love,
Mhm.
I want to touch a little bit before we close out on this idea of you didn't fall victim to your circumstances. And that is such a powerful statement because I think so many of us, and myself included, I'm not, immune from this, but earlier I was talking a little bit about how I've been on this new cleanse, right? For about a year, I played the victim mentality of saying, I gained all this weight and there's nothing I can do about it. Just like, you went through your situation with financial hits and being, removed from your home and all these different challenges. And just like I was able to take ownership of my health, when you decide that, like, you don't like your circumstances, when you decide that you want something different, letting go of that victim mentality or deciding like I'm not going to be a victim is so freaking powerful because you enable yourself to not allow your circumstances to become a permanent thing. Like like
Exactly.
your circumstances are temporary, and by deciding I'm not a victim of this and I have the power to change this, you can literally make any changes that you desire.
Yes. And that's like you say, it's just so empowering to, like you may have a day or two when, things happen that you need that time to sort of like, rebalance,
Right,
regain yourself, right? But don't stay there too long.
right, right.
Yeah, that's like you want to like say, okay, yeah, and what am I learning from this? What am I going to get from this? Because, yeah, we could have gone the route where, we were a victim of all these different scenarios, but instead, like what we've realized is how much we have gained from those losses, right? Or, yeah,
You're always either getting the results you want or the lessons you need. So either way,
exactly.
um, I cannot believe it's already been 30 minutes. That flew by, and I'm sure that we could probably talk about this for days because
Yeah.
um, but how can people work with you? How can they connect with you if they want to learn more? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, so definitely you're welcome to start following me. I always give like tips, maybe like some things to start thinking about and getting people motivated to start thinking about their health. And you can most definitely DM me right here on Instagram. We have workshops, usually like twice a month that you can join. They're for free. They're in Zoom, just to start learning about like even the basics of how to start using essential oils and how you can replace a lot of those toxic products in your home and kind of build on your natural medicine cabinet. And then I have tons of ebooks that I can share with you to get you started as well to your self-learning journey.
I love it. I'm so
Mhm.
anybody that connects with Marta, she has some incredible tips on her feed and in her stories all the time. And just definitely be sure to connect with Marta because she is amazing. Um, yeah, thank you so much for being on today and talking a little bit about taking ownership. Do you have any last thoughts or comments for anyone?
Again, I just wanted to thank you for having me in here. Yes, just start just taking those small steps. I promise you, they will add up to so much. Your mind will be blown after like a while.
Absolutely. One little step.
Mm.
All right.
Yes,
Thanks, Sunday. Go have fun with your roosters.
thanks. Okay, have a good weekend. Okay, bye.